How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. So are you here for me?
I think so. What's your name?
Excellent. Christopher Dukes.
Yeah.
Pardon me one second. Let me just send that off. Are we able to go to a conference
Yeah.
room? Thank
Yeah.
you so much. And this is a legal advisor for Richmond.
Okay. All right.
Your name, sir?
Officer Manella.
Oh, Hi. This room, I got my property back. All except for my remaining gut tape.
You might as well pop that table open.
Oh, yeah, can we pull that table up just so I can put the stuff out for you guys?
So we're first gonna talk, okay? Because I need to figure out what's going on before we go into a bunch of other stuff, okay?
Okay, that's fine.
This is more of like an initial
Who are you?
meeting. Officer Garten.
Okay, because I met
Yeah.
him outside.
Yeah,
You
we're-
didn't introduce yourself, so.
This is kind of an initial meeting, and then it's going to go up to detectives.
Right. So, has
So-
somebody given you a background at all?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. So my fear about that is that the background given is based on false accusations, and so that's one of the biggest problems. But the point is that I would like to. My purpose for being here today is to file an official complaint into several felonious acts that have taken place against me and my children. And these acts have been overlooked. They began back on April, the first that I can say for sure, it's April 24, 2018 at 11:59 p.m.
Okay.
So that's the first. There's a series of things that happened, and we got more evidence to come about later on to support everything that I'm going to tell you today. So this is going to be completely different from the first case where accusations are made over the phone, everybody goes wild on it, led by racial bias, gender bias, and starts making decisions that have ruined my life and my children's life. Today, what you're actually going to see and get, and you'll take it, I understand it's not your role to process or evaluate it, but it is your role to collect it in the same way the patrolman,
I'm gonna.
you're going to write an incident report.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what we do, we're gonna do a paper. We'll pull case number for today.
Yes.
It's gonna be associated with that day back in 2018,
This one.
where the false.
And it
that's
could
the
be
false accusation was. That's that day, right?
Well, it's not.
Well, he's
I wish-
exonerated by DNA
Let me
evidence.
get, well, no, hold on. Let me just please just observe. So the point is that false accusation is the smallest part about this. This was a swatting situation, and all of us were
Correct.
put in jeopardy. So
Well, I only can do so much because I wasn't there that day. I wasn't there when the whole investigation took part. I was.
that's
doing my
clear
other
for me.
stuff,
So
but-
with all I'm asking you to
Yeah,
do
we're
is
gonna take
my
the
complaint.
initial,
Yeah, yeah.
initial
That's
report.
all I'm asking you to do.
Somebody upstairs will contact you,
Right.
and that's it.
That's all
That's
I'm
all.
asking you to do.
Whatever evidence and stuff like that that hold on to that.
I'm going to give it because it's here. And when you all took an initial report at my house that night, you collected evidence and you listed evidence in the report.
Again,
So
That's going to be up to them to decide what they need, because we have a lot of stuff. We're a big city, right?
oh, I know.
But-
I'm giving you a packet of information that's no
Paper?
bigger than this. Paper.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
take the paper.
That's
I
all
don't
I'm going
need.
to do. Listen, this is going to run pretty smooth, all right? So I don't understand why there's tension,
No,
but it
I'm
seems
just-
to be there shouldn't be. I'm an average Joe citizen coming off the street. I will be very respectful to you, and we go through things, all right? This is not an attack on the police department. This has been a long time coming, and unfortunately, as a citizen, I shouldn't even be in this position of having to make a complaint because the professionals above you who had this case, had they done what they were supposed to do, they would have realized they got hood, or that's not the right word. That one, they were BS, that two, that they were lied to. And at some point in time, I believe in my heart, they realized it, but it was too late. Too much damage was done. And they were thinking that I was just going to go away and not make sure that the truth comes forward. All right? So, again, I recognize, I don't know who I will be swearing to at the end of this, I recognize that if I give a false statement that I can be prosecuted for it. Unfortunately, that same standard wasn't applied to the people who've done things before. So what I would like to do is the same way, I still have my original incident report here, and I saw that report said, itemized evidence that they took. I did a favor for you. I itemized it already, so I gave it to you on the sheet. All you got to do is add the sheet to it, and we're all set. So my goal is to put forth what my accusation is so that you can take the report and then you can move it on forward. That makes sense?
Yeah.
That's not like a plan for everybody else? Fantastic. So what I'm going to ultimately give you that is advertised, or not advertised, that is listed here. I'm going to give you this information. So let me tell you what we're talking about, because again, my role is not to convince these guys of any crimes and so forth, which is why their job is to take the information, let someone else be convinced later on down the road. My accusation is against 3 individuals. The first individual, her name is Christine Ann. We're still legally married, so her last name, her date of birth. Well, you can all figure that part out later on if you need that. My statement, and this has already been sent to the Chief State's Attorney's Office at one point in time, and I was directed to come back to Hartford Police to make a complaint because they were not going to look into this at that time, at that level, to come back here. So that's another main reason why I'm here, is because I was advised by the Chief State's Attorney's Office to come back to HPD and file this complaint. Okay. It is my belief that on April 24th, 2018, that a series of crimes were committed against me and my children. That first being Section 53A-54A, which is, I believe it's for attempted murder or so. There's others. And there should be 3 counts of that, because on that attempted to swat and have my children and I killed by police that night. She did so at 11:59, while I'm on the phone talking to my mother, who is a witness. Her name is Viola Dukes. While I was talking to her about the extramarital affair that she had been having, and we had been talking about this for probably about a month by this time. So there was no new surprise about an affair that came about. That during that time, while on the phone with my mother, we were having a 3-way conversation about it. This woman gets pissed, goes across the street, and dials 911. After she dials 911, she starts making, well, first of all, I'll tell you that my accusation of swatting, today is not the first day that I've made this complaint or that I've said this to anyone in official capacity. I told my lawyers about this after my arrest, and then in court, I'm going to just back this down. In court, on January 30th of 2019, in front of the prosecutor, my attorney, and Judge Baldini, I stated in open court that I was swatted. My children and I were swatted for the purpose of concealing the extramarital affair that my wife, Christine Ann Dukes, was having with Fabio Salvatore Iannella. That individual is, and I'll get to him later on, but you'll see in the highlight words, I testified in court that I was swatted and that no one was taking it serious. And here we are 2 years later, and now I'm at the point where I actually have to come to this step to get this done. So this document I'm going to have attached showing this is not something new. This is not retaliation. This is not what I stated that in open court. This is the original case report that you all will have on file. In this case report, it details some of the information. I mean, it was written, of course, after the 911 call. So one of my documents is out of order. Here we are. No detective in major crimes analyzed the 911 call. This is an analysis of the 911 call, recording her statements that she made, what time in the recording that she made them, and the rebuttal to every single thing she said. In order to constitute swatting, what you do is you make a false 911 call to draw a large-scale response to the home or the school or wherever this situation will be. What she did was to get me, and kids were sleeping, to get me removed, is to contact SWAT and tell them that she has a large black husband on the inside of the house. He's large, he's black, he's drunk, he's suicidal. He's been trying to kill her. 9-minute call. Across that whole 9-minute call, there's no talk about duct tape, being restrained with duct tape, or anything like that. One, because it never happened, and two, she didn't think about it yet. She had no idea. So this is a complete analysis of what behavior constitutes swatting. She went through the whole ordeal of letting them know that this husband is likely to come out and start shooting. So of course, you guys hear that. I don't hear, I mean, I've listened to your police can. If you hear large black man, 6'2", 400 pounds, drunk, suicidal, has access to weapons, you guys aren't going to come there like you are now. You're human beings, so you're going to get riled up. That's the whole intention. So when you all came there, you're looking for the bad guy. Where's the bad guy? The one thing you did not find is a woman who had been beaten, and beaten so severely and dragged up and down 76 stairs, and had been punched in her stomach several times, as is listed in the report, grabbed by the throat, all this. She had no physical injuries whatsoever. All they had was, or what they claimed they had was, and actually I did see some pictures or so, were scratches on her neck. Not bruising, scratching. So nothing that shows manual strangulation. And what you all wouldn't know is when she gave a deposition later on, she clarified that she was grabbed, we were face to face, she was grabbed with her, and I'm not trying to, you know what I mean, grabbed with my right hand, and none of the scratches were on that side of the face at all. She's got two separate scratches on this side of the face that are miles apart from each other. Miles apart, of course, is exaggeration, but the point is, today is day 1,000, I'm going to say 36, only because I asked Siri before. There is still absolutely zero evidence to support that there was ever any reason to call the police to begin with. That helps also support the swatting. I'm just spelling out for you so you'll see. As of today, no one, Hartford Police, state inspectors, have any evidence to show that that call to SWAT was legitimized in any way. Call the HPD. It was never supported by anything. So I just want to make sure I have this all in order. Yep, Superior Court, Hartford Police Report. I went out of action. This is a false, this is actually a full summary of the case. So again, I'm an investigator, so I had to do the work because for whatever reason, Major Crimes did not do the work and did not come across this information. This case is over with just these 5 sources of information. Her false statements, her phone records, my phone records, witness testimony, state DNA lab results. Of course, you can't get those like that, but you can get them sooner than the 8 months it took for us to get them. So, anybody looking at those knows exactly that everything I'm about to tell you is absolutely 100% truth, and it's backed by the records. So, this individual in the case report that was written by Officer Parker had stated that at 10 p.m., from 10 p.m. to midnight, she was tortured in the basement. She was being beaten, she was bound with duct tape, all these things. Her phone records show that at 10:21 p.m., and you'll see it later on, that her and her lover were texting each other during that time. So how the hell are you getting beaten? How in the world are you being strangled and bound with duct tape if you're making that text message? Why is that text message not help, 911, give me this or no? And this was never shared with detectives in Major Crimes. In fact, Hartford PD was misled to believe that she gave a phony, and she did give a phony affair. She said she was having an affair with a woman, gave a phony name and all that. And she said she made all that up. So someone's being beaten so bad that they're able to make up something. That's still leaves for speculation. But the point is, her phone records don't lie. How are you texting at 10:21 to this guy, and how are you texting him at 11:05 to this guy if you're being under control by me and you're being beaten and so forth? And wouldn't those text messages, the content of those text messages show, they would have been used as evidence. Here you go. He was beating me. I even texted a friend. Nothing. Nothing whatsoever. So, you all were told, including, and it's on the 911 call, it says, he's drunk. Here's my toxicology report. When I was taken to the hospital, my blood alcohol, breath alcohol was 0.0. I'm a big guy. I might not be able to drink you on the table, but the issue is the alcohol is going to stay in me a lot longer. 0.0. You all had this information when I was at the ER, and it should have raised a big red flag, but unfortunately it did not. But can't go back and undo the time. The next thing I want to show you, just because I have a timeline for you, and I'll have it there, is at 11:09 p.m., I took this photo of her laptop. This laptop, this was the email she claimed she was going to write to this lover because she couldn't call her lover on the phone. So she says, it's in the police report, that she wrote an email and she sent it. Absolutely not true. This is as far as she got. And I took a picture because I was doing an investigation downstairs in the basement. There was never an argument that entire night. We were only having a conversation about the affair. And when she actually showed me some semblance of proof, I took this picture at 11:09, and then I immediately made a phone call to the witness, which is my mother. And that phone call was made at 11:09 exactly, and we talked, with the exception of 2 minutes, for the next 40-some minutes. All right? I gave my phone records to the prosecutor. I didn't give anything to the detectives because the only time they tried to talk to me is when I didn't have a lawyer. So I never had a chance. Before right now, the first time I could sit, and a couple other times the HPD has been in my house since, is really show people my phone records don't lie. This is what I was doing. This is who I was talking to. So how could I be beating someone when I'm actually using the phone? And how come no one interviewed that witness? They just assume because she's a black mom of a black son, she's not a good witness. What if she said, it's true, everything my daughter-in-law said, now she's a good witness? It doesn't make sense. So this key witness, who was on the phone with us for over 40 minutes, has never been interviewed by anybody in HPD or the state's attorney's office. However, I have a written sworn statement from that individual. And this was used in later cases. Hello, sir. Sorry. And this was used in subsequent cases where I've been cleared. Okay? This person has valuable information, so I want to make sure this goes in. My witnesses, the PD was not looking for exculpatory evidence. They were only looking for evidence to nail me, and that's disappointing. There was another witness who I spoke to that night on the phone while waiting for Officer Manson to show up. His name is Robert Del Pomo. He wrote a sworn written statement about our conversation. And I won't go all through it thoroughly with you all because, again, you're not processed this. So I will keep moving along. Sorry. This is screenshots of my phone records, which also support the calls to my witness, who still has not been interviewed. This is an entire timeline for the entire day. You all have not created a timeline. This is a timeline that shows my spouse's interactions from 12 a.m. to 1 a.m. the next morning after the swatting. Mine. Here I am sleeping. Here her and her lover are on the phone doing whatever all through there. But the point is, this is the whole account for the day. We're supposed to be making decisions on the totality of circumstances. You all learned that. Not cherry-picking information and running wild with it. Here's an official, it's based on our phone records. The next thing that you all don't know also, there's a victim statement that still should be in this PD. But she went to family court on May 1st and submitted a relief of abuse, an affidavit. It's a sworn affidavit where she testifies for family court seeking a restraining order. She revises her statement, she adds more to it, she deletes some from it because she cannot remember the lie. All her false statements have been analyzed, and it's there. That statement you all would not have. And then, subsequent to that, on May 8th, there was a hearing held. She's now making another statement under oath, perjures herself about an assault that never took place, which is why you have no evidence of assault. Duct taping, which never happened, restraining, threatening, all the behaviors that you know of, it's all here. She got cross-examined, and she got caught in a lie and try to cover herself for in here. That's in here. You all have never seen this. That's why I'm bringing it. There was analysis done of all of her false statements, from her court testimonies to the 911 call to the DCF report to her depositions to her restraining order application, which I just showed you, and her voluntary written statement, which is upstairs in Major Crimes. in total, she made more than 506. This is back when this was done. There's been more than 100 since in family court testifying. False statements. What I am giving the detectives here, and I'll meet with whomever I need to afterwards because all verifiable. Of those 506, cut out the he said, she said, and just deal with provable lies. Out of the provable false statements, there are 442 of them. All 442 of her false statements are itemized here. They're identified as far as what the statement was, when was it made, for example, the 911 call. Was it a unsworn false statement or was it a sworn false statement? Is it provable? These are all provable, and they're provable by all the resources in the blue. So all of this was provided. I'm not sure if the state received this before dismissing my case. Every single one of those 442 false statements are identified and spelled out here. Why would she need to do that? It's because she was having an affair with probably a former patient. I'm not sure of that. I can't prove that. But what I can prove is that he's a felon. If she found out, or if my family found out, her family found out that she was cheating on me and leaving me for a felon, somebody who she's been sneaking around. His name is Fabio Salvatore. This is his entire criminal history. They have substance abuse, burglary, drug trafficking, all those. This is why she needed to keep that secret. This is her motive. She's been having an affair with this guy, and if I found out about it, which I told her 12 days before the incident, on April 12th, I told her, if I find out that you're having an affair, I will contest the divorce. I won't do manipulation because I'm not going to let you hurt our children because you want to go out and have a fling. So she knew that she was going to lose financially, perhaps, and so forth. But you get rid of me, you get rid of the children. You get 100% of my retirement. You get 100% of all of our assets that we have joint. And she had just recently had a falling out with my mother-in-law right before this because my mother-in-law informed her that she was giving grandchildren a greater portion of the inheritance. Get rid of the children. Now, you get all of their inheritance as well. So this was the issue with this guy. I don't know how much he was involved in helping her, but I know he knows about it. All it takes is somebody to interview her. No one's ever interviewed her and asked her, why did you say this false statement? Why did you do this? No, they treated her like a victim. They wrapped her up in bubble wrap and just put her on a pedestal. And that's, unfortunately, the stain that will be left on this department until it corrects the situation. She told the detectives she was not having an affair with anyone. That was all bogus and so forth. Yet and still, we subpoenaed her phone records. These are the phone communications that the two of them had from New Year's Eve. We didn't see any before New Year's Eve. From New Year's Eve until the day I was arrested, which was April 25th. Now, they had over 18,674 phone communications. This is someone who's saying she wasn't having an affair. It's not someone. This is another analysis that just breaks down significant dates when they were having communications. This is another analysis that just shows this one day alone, the day that she swatted me, the day that we had the marriage counseling session and so forth, on that particular day, this is just their phone communications for one day. Highlighted in red is between 10 and midnight when she said that she was being beaten. She's sending the text messages. I told you about them earlier, so I won't go all the way through them. But that's what this red section is. She's texting him during the time she claims she's being a victim of domestic violence. She's bound with duct tape, her hands, wrists, and mouth. How is she possible making those communications? And then, this is the swatting part, is her phone call was made 11:59 p.m. to HPD. It lasted till 12:08 a.m. with the dispatcher when Officer Parker arrived. Officer Parker talked to her for about 51 seconds. I'm going to use my nose because I got the GPS records for here. His cruiser was there for 51 seconds and then it was in front of my house. So in those 51 seconds that they spoke, he pulled away, he come to speak to me. First thing she does is dial her accomplice at 12:09. Dispatch call ends at 12:08. By 12:09, they're on the phone call communicating. She hid that phone call from all investigators. She's lied about that phone call under oath. She's most recently lied about this phone call and those communications in family court this past October. Okay? And then, while everyone's surrounding our house to take out, in her mind, I think, take out the kids, take out me, and so forth, the two of them are having a 15-minute phone call right under your noses. What victim is doing that? Okay? Again, at some point in time, gotta realize what's going on. On her deposition day, when she's getting questioned about all these different things, during the deposition, she got stuck on some questions because she didn't expect us to have certain information. She didn't know how to answer. She took a break, and they texted during the deposition. Okay, so I think, again, they're co-conspirators. Now, that finishes that part about him. There's another individual who I mentioned. His name is Michael Berenbach. I believe he's in Hackensack, New Jersey? I believe he's in Hackensack, New Jersey. Yes, Hackensack, New Jersey. That's my brother-in-law. I phoned my brother-in-law while waiting for Mark Manson to arrive. I did what I felt I was supposed to do, the family thing, is start calling family, letting them know what was going on. I called my in-laws. I called him because I know he works late and gets home probably around midnight. So I called him at 12:30, 12:34, something like that. Talked to his wife for a few minutes, and then he gets on the phone. We talk. This is now April 25th, 2018. We're talking. I tell him what happened. We were having a conversation about the affair, and now the SWAT team is here. He writes a false report for major crimes. He goes to the Hackensack Police Department. He writes a report, and he says, Christopher called me that night. I'm summarizing, paraphrasing. Called me that night, told me what happened. Christine was having an affair and that she confessed. And then he told me how he got that confession. And that he got it by taking her into the basement and hitting her on the back of the head. That's the most of the assault that he said that I confessed to him. Now, I don't know if you have any sisters or not, or any family member. Family member calls you and tells you that your in-law, that they just beat your sister or brother, or whoever, they just beat them in a basement and got a confession out of them, and now police are at the house. Now, I grant it, he's in New Jersey, so he might not have jumped in the car and got right here. Mm-hmm. But probably human reaction, the first thing you're going to do is call your sister or your spouse. What I'm trying to show you is the phone records. He never got any communication from her or talked to her until she called him 7 hours later. He never called her. Why? Because no confession was made. Why? Because there is no assault, which is why you have no evidence of an assault. So this guy files a false complaint with the Hackensack Police Department, sends it to you all because they knew then the case was dead. So I don't want to play pop quiz and actually, when did he make that complaint? You know when he made that complaint? He made it in August. This happened April 25th. Mm-hmm. He writes his sworn statement for the Hackensack Police Department sometime around August 25th, 24th, or 29th, or something like that. You all have that here upstairs somewhere. So again, this man entered a false, this is my issue with him, is that he filed a false report. There's no evidence whatsoever to support still that his sister was ever assaulted, and certainly the fact that I confessed to him when I talked to so many other people, and not one person has come forward and said, Chris confessed to me also. Didn't happen. That's my complaint against Michael Berenbach. I believe I already explained the information concerning Fabio and Christine, but we get further into the other charges that are tampering with and fabricating with evidence. I was removed from my home for several months. However, when I got back 3 months later, so July 18, I believe it was the 18th actually, of 2018, I got access back to my house. Before I even walked in my house, I started the video camera. So that way I can record the house as is, and I made sure I had witnesses with me. So I can't be accused of doing anything. I come in the house, turn off my alarm system. That way I have another timestamp of when I entered the home. When I entered the home and took a view of everything, I came to learn that she had control of the house, only her. That our router that kept track of all the internet logs and everything was completely removed from the house. Comcast, Xfinity is what we had. All the other boxes are there. Only the router was missing. So I said, well, maybe she turned it in. Maybe they cleaned it and turned it in. I go to Comcast. I said, did my router get turned in here? They said, no. Here, we will take your cable boxes, but the router is missing. They destroyed the router. They're the only ones who had access to the house. She is. I'll put it her. Because if you question her, you'll figure out what happened to it. We questioned her in the deposition. She said, I don't know what a router is. It's absolute bull. Because my video proves that router, the wires to the router were running out of the middle. She got rid of all of the evidence that we had to show that she was having these nightly communications with this guy over the internet using her laptop to do so. So they destroyed the evidence that we would have had. I have the proof of it because, again, she's the only one who had control of the house. If I show up to the house, I was on the ankle monitor, it would have set everything off. So she's the only one who had control of the house. This document breaks down every charge that I have and all the evidence that debunks this. The state attorney got this in April, I want to say, of 2019, because we were trying to push for them to dismiss this case at that point in time. The only thing we didn't have was the DNA evidence. Comes the DNA evidence. You will receive it on May 14th. We don't get it until July 11th from you. What was tested was the duct tape that I don't even know who collected it from the basement because it doesn't say. I don't know if Major Crimes collected it. It should have been the patrolman. But when the evidence was collected, they tested the outside of the duct tape, the adhesive side of the duct tape. Okay, the shiny side, not the sticky side. When they got these results, right then they knew I was innocent because out of the two pieces, there's a mixture of DNA on one of them. My DNA, her DNA on the outside, and somebody else. I have a great theory of who it is, and I filed a complaint with IA to figure that part out. We'll see what happens with that one, so I won't mention it for... No, I would tell you. I believe, since I'm doing a report and you guys should be recording, my belief is that now Detective Scott Parker or Detective Donovan Thorpe and Mike Hesselton, Detective Mike Hesselton, one of those three, somebody should explain why those DNA is on there. Now, if their DNA is on there, why? Because this DNA, this duct tape was fabricated. As I told you earlier, this duct tape was never mentioned on a 911 call because it wasn't even a thought. That was some scheme that came up after I had left the hospital. Or went to the hospital. No duct tape is referenced any time, the whole time that we're waiting for Mark to arrive. And then Mark and I talked for about 40 minutes. So this 2-hour, 3-hour armed standoff is absolute hogwash. When you look at the fact I had to wait for Mark Manson to come for an hour. And then for us to talk and build rapport. But back to this DNA result. With this DNA, it's a mixture. I don't understand why people who are in charge of solving crimes were not trying to find out who that third person is. Or rule that person out. Because that third person is critical. My theory is that third person helped her fabricate this evidence. It's not Fabio Iannella, because I used this duct tape on Friday, April 13th, and between Friday, April 13th of 2018 and April 24th or 25th when this is, no other adult have been in our house and in our basement, and our children are never in the basement. So the only time that this duct tape could have been even removed from the roll, it was stated it was pre-cut and hanging from the ceiling. So I remind you, how is it possible for me to premeditate, cut strips of duct tape, hang them from the ceiling, get her downstairs, take them down, put them around her wrist, her hands, put them around her mouth, take them off of her, crumple them up, put them on the ground without my DNA getting on that second piece? It's impossible, and they knew it. So, first piece, a mixture. Hers, mine, and some mysterious person. It has to be either somebody at the lab, but the lab, the state lab, they're very professional. If there's some cross-contamination, they will let you know. This is somebody else. This is an HPE staff. They're the chain of custody, they're the only ones who had access to it. So I don't know how they're going to find out how. The other piece of tape had no mixture. I'm sorry, I'm trying to look for my... Had no mixture. It was single person. It was female, and it's hers. So why is the victim's DNA on both outsides of that because she controlled both of them. If I had control those strips, my DNA would be on both. Okay, so any investigator who's trying to nail me on this thing, I don't know what happened to them, so I'm going to speculate. But the point is, nobody could ever say after this date, Chris Dukes took that duct tape off the roll and used it on his wife, restrained his wife, and so forth. So, we received this on July 1st. On July 9th, someone, or your agency, resubmitted for a second test, okay? And this time, tested the inside of the duct tape. And the results of that shows Christopher Dukes eliminated. That right there shows you, I don't know, hold on.
Okay, go ahead.
I was going to reach in my bag or something, but I don't know. So, may I reach in my bag for a second? Thank you. I'm always cognitive officer safety. That's why I just want to make sure that
Yeah.
people are out.
You guys might not know, but Chris used to have to do investigations to present to law enforcement at his job.
All right. Granted, this is painter's tape, but the point is, you know, my DNA is all over this stuff right now, but it is. I put this tape down 500 years, it's really 1,000 years, but 1,000 years, my DNA is still there. Your DNA shouldn't be on here at all. You've never touched this. However, just by doing this, there's no other way I could think of taking, yeah, you bite it, you're getting your DNA over it, but by touching the outside and the inside, just to make this short piece of tape, natural way of doing this tape, if those DNA results were wrong, my DNA should be here, but it's definitely on the inside also. If I'm controlled, there's no way to take a piece of tape off of a roll without getting your DNA on both sides. You can say, unless you're wearing gloves. There's nothing in a report that talks about I was wearing gloves. I never was wearing gloves. And for that tape number 2, guess what? My DNA is on the outside of the next tape coming off of this because I'm just holding the roll. That's why this eliminates the fact that I didn't do anything. Now the fact that my DNA is not on the inside, this test result proves that that other person in the mixture did not take it off the roll. They just simply handed the roll or touched it or did something afterwards. But they didn't take it off the roll because otherwise their DNA would be on the inside, and it's not. Only her DNA is on the inside on both and on the outside of both. That's proof beyond reasonable doubt. This is not even probable cause, which led to arrest. So, by October 18th of 2019, she should have been arrested then for fabricating this duct tape evidence, and she was not. Somebody has to answer for that, because by then, you already ruined my life for over 1.5 years. And you have the press believing that I'm this guy who took his wife into the basement and did all this. Why would a victim have to do this? It's because she's not a victim. She fabricated this to gain, one, if she failed at killing me with the police department. So now you try to get leverage in divorce. How do you get leverage in a divorce? If as a wife, you claim domestic violence and you give them duct tape. So everyone's sitting around with this duct tape. Oh, we found duct tape. That was the number one thing I kept hearing at my probable cause hearing or whatever. Oh, these are serious allegations. Yeah, it's damn well serious when someone accuses you of that. But this is perjury. This is the list of how many? 38 false statements that she made solely about duct tape. Chris duct taped me, Chris did this, all with duct tape. This is 38 counts of perjury. That's 38 counts of, these are, perjury is a misdemeanor, and so forth. Right? So there are 38 counts right here. This is not one lie. This is multiple lies. So the point is, somebody needs to do something about it. What we're dealing with, I don't want to psychoanalyze, but what you had here was a smear campaign. None of you guys knew me before any of this evidence came out there. But the story that you were told before you even arrived on scene, this homicidal, suicidal, drunk guy in the house, kids in the house, trying to kill me, and now you know it was all smoke. And the point is that everybody who she got to first, it was to smear me so that if I try to defend myself, everybody thinks that I'm crazy, okay? So when she got involved with, and I do present this to you because it is criminal also, her next step in this is that she filed a affidavit with child support, and she tried to smear me there as well. So again, if you're keeping track, she smeared me with you all first, then DCF, then family court, and criminal court, and now child support services. He owes me all this money, and then I had to defend myself and present, because it's just another a signed false statement. She doesn't care about taking an oath and sign. These are all receipts showing that I paid all those payments. Thank God I had them, because otherwise they would have held me and did what they had to do with me. And I don't know if you know, well, I'll get to it momentarily. We're just about done, gentlemen, I'm sorry. Again, but I need to make sure this is out. At least you can see what's going on. I pray to God none of you ever have to go through this. This is the letter. This is the information from criminal court showing that every single charge that I was charged with after about 568 days was completely dismissed. All right, and the court just granted our motion to dismiss this entire case. The entire case is dismissed, so it's not a pending case, which is why we needed a new case. What happened after that is trying to get people to change all these other things, give my kids back, because these two people who orchestrated all of this, as I shown by the phone records, have custody of my children. And it's still a secret. See, the prosecutor got caught also with their pants down because nobody knew that she moved the guy in to live with her and the kids after all this. And still are there. And they just recently bought a house also. Well, anyway, I filed my civil lawsuit. So there's a civil lawsuit pending for malicious prosecution. This is where she's being sued for lying, which led to my prosecution and so forth. So this is the first lawsuit that was filed. Next is I started going out, talk shows and all, letting people know these injustices, what's happened to me, and no one is taking the same equal protection afforded by the 14th Amendment for me as they did her, you know. And so they filed a gag order. They tried to get a gag order. We fought that gag order and won. In here you have my lawyer writing the statements about how she maliciously lied and got me arrested, costed me everything. DCF originally drank the same Kool-Aid that everybody else did, and they found that, it was substantiated that I committed physical neglect, emotional neglect, put me on the child registry list, and so forth. Once they got a whiff of all this, they reversed every single thing. So now I just showed you, every criminal charge completely dropped and the case dismissed. And DCF, administrative, reversed every single decision that was made against me. And the most recent one, the only one that has gone full from start to finish, was when I lost my job. We had to go through every grievance level to get my job back. An arbitrator listened to everything. Her, the 911 calls, the DNA evidence, and made a ruling that this case didn't even rise to the level of just cause. Okay? Now knowing what we know. And ordered that my job be returned to me, and I get all my back pay for the last now 26, 27 months. Okay? That is currently under appeal, but that's just another retaliatory move. But the point is, a fact finder listened to all of this. And that's my concern, is that here, even when I came here yesterday, people, oh yeah, I know your case. I'm like, no, you don't. You've been prejudiced. After today, at least you all can go back and say, holy shoot. I won't say it because of the camera, but still, this guy's got a lot. Yeah, this is all factual. This is all court-based stuff, and it should have never had to come to this. So I'm adding that ruling in there. The most recent thing is that after we had a divorce trial, the divorce is not final yet, but the trial started in February of 20, and after that, we got delayed because of COVID, and we started again in October. On October 30th, she still went on and lied about what she was doing on her phone. She said those weren't text messages. Even though Verizon said they're text messages, they're not text messages. I was logging into work to write that email that I showed you a picture of, and that's not true. That picture was taken at 11:09, not 10:21. So, this is the motion to reopen the evidence, because we wanted the judge to review the arbitration ruling, and we wanted the judge to review the phone records. So I'll just show you again, because Major Grimes may not find it. At this time, for example, 10:21 p.m., That's her phone number, her name. She sent the text message. That's why it's called SMS. She sent a text message. When you click on that cell, I don't know if you're an Excel fan or not, but you see this code number. It's that code number because she's using a Verizon Wireless app on an Android phone, and it generates that code. So she testified in the court that she lied about it. That's a better look at it. But anyway, you get the gist of it. Verizon Wireless customer service gave a response to customers what that code meant. It's solely based on Android phone users using an integrated texting app that is provided for Verizon Wireless customers only. And that's exactly what she was doing. So we wanted the judge to see that she has lied. So my concern is, gentlemen, that particular night,
differentiate SMS versus MMS.
they're not going to have to do it. We have the key for it, so we have the key for it. The detectives are going to want to see. We have the subpoena, and they're going to see the original files. They'll probably give it to their tech people to run their own analysis, and we'll see it from there. My primary concern has always been my children throughout this. That particular night, my children and I were put in harm's way, intentionally and maliciously. I did my best to protect myself and my children until it was safe for me to be able to exit the home and get some safety for my children also. We were put in that unfortunate situation because of the swatting. Next, what happens from that is, and DCF, everybody's right. Yes, my children were put in harm's way. But as you see, DCF cleared me. Now they've seen the evidence. The problem is no one held her accountable for the swatting, the perjury, the attempted murder on me and the children by using the SWAT team, weaponizing a SWAT team against us, and the countless, hundreds of perjury, all designed to keep this secret safe, to stop us from coming forward. My other concern is there's another case associated with this. On January 18th of 2021, another attempt was made on my life. It's my belief that someone was hired because I didn't recognize the individual. This car followed me to my driveway, waited for me to get in my driveway, and fired 3 bullets at me. Prior to April 24th, 2018, I've never had any act of violence towards me whatsoever before that night. You will see that there is a record of February 24th of 2018. I had a disgruntled student come to my home and bang on my door. I was in Florida, but my wife and children were home at the time, and my wife executed our family plan that we've had since 2004 on what to do when there's a threat at your home. I went through the training, and I trained her. And the first thing you do is arm yourself, secure whoever needs to be secured, and you call police. Those are the first 3 steps I followed that night as well, too. Because it's legal and it's lawful. But my concern is still that all this masquerading has been going on for almost 3 years. My children are isolated. They have not seen my family or so forth. And I'm really concerned. And I've expressed this in family court. But again, until we had the trial, I'm still considered the bad guy who beat his wife, duct taped her up. And now anybody who's gone through the evidence knows, holy shit, I have far more than you all ever accumulated on this case about what happened that night. And I filed a new complaint. Again, I was advised to file a complaint. That's why I'm here today. But with DCF, to let them know my children are still sustaining the emotional bleed. That duct tape didn't come up, not that 911 call. Our divorce would have been over by now. We would have visitation all set up. My children, I see them twice a week on Skype right now. My children, I can see the emotional wear and tear that this has come from them. And I haven't been able to correct the record with them. So my children are still under the impression that all this dysfunction is because Daddy tried to kill Mommy one night. Daddy hurt Mommy one night. To make kids believe that is emotional abuse. So I'm asking that you all initiate a DCF investigation into this matter so that all this information comes forward. Again, as you see, I can't make this stuff up. All right, so the issue is I'm asking that DCF be involved, and they do. I sent this, they rejected it. I just found out
You
Friday.
still have the open DCF case, though.
No, see, they closed it really quick. They closed it back in May of 2018.
And that ruling is complete for what they...
No, so they
for
closed.
child custody part of it?
So they had nothing to do with custody. Custody has all been done in
So
the.
they didn't do any emergency removals? none
They
of that?
did do that then. They did all that, and then they got out of it. Their original finding was that I committed physical neglect that night and emotional neglect on the children. But once they got a taste of the evidence, this past August 2020, they reversed all of it. So they'll go, yeah, I showed them that part already. This is the most recent that I've read. So they reversed all of it. But that doesn't do my kids any good. All it does is admit you realize that you were wrong about me. But
So
that
who's-
911 call was made.
Who has the ruling saying you can't see your kids?
Right now, it's because so it's in family court, and it's still based off the same original temporary custody order that was granted after, May 8th? Or the protective order, when I was first charged, a protective order went in place immediately, back in April of 2018. That all went away when all the charges got dropped. The restraining order all went away, but the custody orders never got changed. And I was always told, well, trial's right around the corner. Let's just wait through trial. Then COVID hit. In the meantime, my family has not seen my children or talked to my children on the phone since April of 2018. That cannot be in the best interest of the children. But again, until people sit down and go through all this evidence, they still think to just jump on it, because there is a lot of domestic violence. I used to investigate these cases, so I know. But the problem is when you look like me, for whatever reason, we can't fix it all in one day. When you look like me, and you get, I'm reaching in my pocket for a cell phone, and you get, just gonna show you this. This is the last thing I'm gonna show you.
All units 10-5, all units 10.
Against,
Let's see if I get the brother to unlock the front door.
and that's the whole key. This was last February 2020, February 26th of 2020, in divorce trial. And if you're in there, and there's a courtroom full of people, and you see that performance, you're like, holy shit, that monster. Excuse me, but I think, that badass, he did this, he did all that. And you look at the DNA results, you see that as absolute 100 bull. And that's the problem, and that's what I've been facing with. People seeing this very small, petite white woman in tears, crying about what this big, black monster did to her without looking at the evidence. And that's what I was up against. And that is why I still haven't had my children yet, because that judge hadn't seen this evidence yet until this past October, and we're still waiting for her ruling. But my problem is, I faced opposition because I'm expected to just let it go and go on. But this person, again, this is a very special person to be able to call 911 and not care about your neighbors, the responders. Her dad was a late, rest in peace, her dad was a late Hackensack police officer. You don't do that. You don't do it, but she knew what to do. She pushed buttons the entire time while you guys were out there, and she was in communication with her boyfriend, who she hid from prosecutors. She hid from detectives for months until I started feeding them information about the truth. And again, when folks got caught, they dropped all the charges because I wanted to go to trial. As you see, I wanted to go to trial and present all this evidence, because no jury hearing this would ever say, and that's why, look at these stack of papers and what you guys have. You guys don't have anything solid. like this because it was all smoke and mirrors. There was never any assault whatsoever. I don't know if you realize, she's 5'1", or Willie's back then was 5'1", about 130. At that particular date, I was 6 feet, 354 pounds. I just weighed myself a couple days before that, so I knew that. 354 pounds. If I'm grabbing anybody, I'm punching anybody who's 5, she doesn't have to say a word. It's all over her body. It's all there. And I drag her up and down 76 stairs. I bound her with duct tape. There's going to be bruise. There's going to be something. And I'm so disappointed, gentlemen, that I'm here now, almost 3 years from the fact, still saying what didn't happen and still having people in this department believe it did without seeing this evidence. That's why I'm here. That's why I want to file the complaint. So if I don't know what's the cleanest way to do this because I don't want to write a full statement. My statement is in a narrative right here. If I can sign, this is my sworn, well, I'm swearing to it when I sign it.
You're talking to us anyways.
Right. And it's all there, and I'm giving you this so that way when you write your incident report, and I know that this is going to be tagged as paperwork that you're getting, if you will say see attachment and just show this. These are all the documents that are here and that are in order. That's what I want to submit for this, and this one as well.
Page 2, right?
So let me see, where is this one? Connecticut Penal Code, this is number 1. Okay. So this is number 1, and this is just the cover page.
And
So
that's just a copy of.
this is just a backup copy for me.
Okay.
So I didn't know how I was going to be, whether I was going to give someone a packet and go through it, but this is just a copy for me, for my record, so I know exactly what I submitted with my report. You have the audio. If you need my official signature to sign. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Everything's right there, and then whenever whoever upstairs reviews that, anyways, they're gonna contact you. And
Okay.
they'll do that part.
And
he's
the only
just
thing
gonna
I
use your
ask-
ID and
Yep. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So the only thing that I ask is that I receive the same treatment that if this is a land of equality, I want the same equal treatment that the person that you believed wasn't, not you, I'm sorry.
I understand. Don't worry.
Believed was a victim of a crime, and then I was later chastised for claiming that I was. Well, guess what? The evidence supports that I was.
I agree.
You know, I know. I'm just
I
saying.
agree 100%. And we all can look at today's environment the same way. The news gets a hold of something,
Yeah.
people don't believe the follow-up part, right?
My number one thing is, again, well, number one, I keep saying that a lot.
I
but
agree with you, yes.
For-
Fair
for-
investigation.
That's all I wanted. And so,
I don't
and I
get
was-
access to everything they have from the original
I didn't have an
case, so-
attorney when I met with detectives. I was charged before I even made it upstairs. So when I was told what I was charged with, I already know from my training. I mean, I don't know if you have kids as well too, but my understanding, I work closely with a lot of law enforcement, is it's always said, don't say anything until your attorney gets there. So if that advice applies to you and your family, how come it doesn't apply to me? Why is it used against me? But as I showed you, I'm standing there in open court. When I told the judge that I was swatted and so forth, the Hartford Current wrote an article against counsel's advice, because they advised, I spoke out. Anytime it came out that I was fighting for myself, asking to get off of the monitor, I wasn't a dangerous person. I was on that monitor for 566 days. I was in complete 100% compliance. I never violated anything. I don't have a criminal history or so forth. And I'm trying to get these folks to fix. The state of Utah returned my permit within a week from me calling them. Okay? This state was supposed to fix my status with my permit. They did not. They made me start all over again. It's a Second Amendment violation. Why? I'm innocent. I didn't commit anything. You should do something to restore this, not make me go back through the whole process. And I do it. Go back through the whole process, and then I get rejected because they said I left a question blank. Well, the same, I just saw Detective Clark in the hallway. We just spoke again. I said, it's wrong for you to disqualify me on the same question I asked you, and it was, have you ever had a permit revoked, suspended, or so forth? I told him that day, I said, sorry, I don't know how to answer this. Because technically, it should not have been, right? So he said, let me go in the back. He took my paperwork, went in the back. He came back, no, you're all set. I just need your fingerprints. Gave him my fingerprints. we're all set.
320, if you
I
have
find
fire,
out
just
months
have
down the
them
road,
staged
I get
at the
disqualified
10
because that question is
no
blank. I was like, oh, wait a minute. That's not right. Not because I'm a criminal, not because I have a criminal history, not because I went to the psychiatric ward or anything like that, which I didn't do. So anyway, I thank you for your time. So is there anything
What's a
else?
good number for you? Just
I
so,
guess the fire
203
department,
yeah,
671
yep.
51
I guess the fire cleared already, so let
And
the
then this is
10 know.
your most present address?
South. No, they'll call. That's what they do now. They won't.
Yeah. This is your recent
It
address,
is.
the 65 Monroe?
Yes, sir. It's still there. So
Gotcha.
it's 203 because I got 203 671
Yeah.
5144.
Yeah.
Let me just,
Just out of curiosity, do you know who this is going to be transferred to?
Up to major crime.
Yes.
I don't know which
But-
detective.
Depends on which. We don't know who's
Yeah.
going to take it.
The sergeant up there was already notified.
Morrison, yeah.
Yeah.
Morrison.
That's what I was told. Yeah.
And he'll get it all, and they'll
Yeah.
So I hope
somebody.
anything right here.
Yeah, because, you know, now that the DNA's been, you know, it rules him out, there still is, you know, a third person
That's what I'm getting down
who
about.
was
I want to know
involved.
who the hell that
And,
is.
you know, obviously there's some sort of staging in here. You know, you can tell by the text messages when she's supposed to be bound in duct tape, as well as, you know, the lack of bruising, the DNA disqualification on the,
Yeah.
Well,
They got-
they didn't say who it is, or they don't know who.
They
it
don't
is.
know who it is
So
because
it's not a convicted felon.
right, exactly. It's
So-
not a convicted felon, so I know it's not. One, he didn't have access to my
Yeah.
house. Again, that list is very small.
Yeah.
I also know that was collected sometime after 337, which is I think when the SWAT came into my house. I think at 336, and I think they cleared by 343. And at that
Alright.
point in time, she's communicating with him in text message again also. But anyway, so sometime after 343, somebody came in my house, and not somebody, her for sure, went back down into that basement and staged whatever duct tape issue it was. You know, DNA doesn't lie. DNA is not racist. It's not gender biased. You know, you either touched it or you did not. And if you touch it, hopefully you had a good reason for it. But again, she's based on these DNA findings. She's the only person in the entire world population who could have removed that duct tape from the roll. That is a felony. And with all the harm it's been done to me and my entire family, even my colleagues at work, this is spread wide. It became the top 20, in the top 25 stories in the Hartford Current that year. And it was widely publicized all over, but I was on the wrong side of it. So again, I can look you in the face, I can come in, I can make a sworn statement and so forth, because the evidence has always been on my side. The accusations were never on my side, but the evidence has always been. And that's what I hope, if any, I don't know how old or young you guys are into your careers, but I hope that, you know, this is why they say the totality of circumstances.
Huh? You guys
So-
are young. You guys are still in your 20s, probably? Really?
No, I got
So-
good genes.
What else do you need from me, sir? Did I get my ID back?
So she
Yeah, I
didn't
gave you-
legally change her name yet. Back.
No, because the divorce is
Still-
not final.
Okay.
And right now, it's on the DCF report. In violation of family court automatic laws, she recently bought a home in December. Wasn't supposed to buy a home. You can't buy a home while you're in the middle of divorce. Also, you got to figure out where that money came from, because this guy doesn't work, as far as I know. He used to sell drugs, and so I don't know if drug money helped buy that house. I'm in touch with my in-laws to some degree, and I was informed money did not come from the in-laws, so I don't know. So again, I'll stress, my concern is my children's welfare. We just saw somebody drive their son into a lake in Seymour. Susan B. Smith, over a man, drove her kids into a lake in South Carolina years ago. And so I don't want my kids harmed. I want my kids away from these individuals who have conspired for the last 3 years. They have a lot to lose with all this evidence coming out and explaining again. And my problem is, I don't want my kids in DCF placement. They shouldn't be. My kids should be with me. I'm a legal parent. I'm clear. I've had psych evals. I am completely clear of any wrongdoing associated with this situation. However, unfortunately, the state attorney the statement was they're dropping the charges for the sake of the children. Yet and still, I still don't have my children. What are you talking about? The victim doesn't want the children to visit their dad in jail. Give me a break. Do you know what this would have done had this came out in trial? You can imagine. So anyway, but this needs to get taken care of. You know, I'm just so sorry it has to come to this point to get this done, but this is not right. It's not American.
And it's not right to put you guys in danger as well during a SWAT situation where, you know, you guys think that you're going in. There's obviously a man who was not drunk.
And that's why it's a felony.
And,
Yeah.
you know, then afterwards you guys go in, he thinks you're an intruder, and, you know, there's a trial.
No, those
or
are that, because
even
no, see, that's the
worse.
problem. You can't
No,
say,
even
I
worse,
did not think you guys were
go
intruders.
in.
My issue is, I knew who you were, so that, but I feel threatened for my life, and I thought I was going to be killed, just like Andrew Finch was 4 months before me in Wichita, Kansas. That's what I was thinking. I don't want to put on a record. something like that. We're still on record, so-
Well, yeah, I mean, there was a fear that you were
Yeah,
going to lose your
yeah,
life.
but you can't state that because you only know from me.
Good job, I'll respond to you. Good job.
So my point is, yes, we're not getting into that. I explained it, and the arbitrator knew it as well too. I've had in-home personal defense training, run high fight training. I was the trainer for the campus, and which is why I knew to call you after securing my children to make sure they're safe. But again, we're not. I've been cleared of that, so that's not even relevant right now. But the point is, I'm concerned. I'm a concerned dad. I want my kids out of there safely. And my fear, and I testified to this in open court, is that as the walls start to close in on these individuals, they're going to harm my kids because my kids have seen too much. They've had rendezvous in Rhode Island hotels with my kids. My kids told me. Okay, so my issue is, they're the best witnesses. So if when this happens, because I'm not going to be quiet until this happens. My thing is, when the right thing happens and justice comes, I need my kids to be safe. And they're no safer than anybody else than being with their dad, who tried to prevent this from the very beginning. So, that's it. You need anything from me?
No, I'm going to give you a case number in a second.
Thank you. Oh, you're going to get my own car too.
25.
Yeah, that was abusive for both of you.
Can I have cars for both of you as well too? Because again, I like to pay
Could I get a
compliments. where compliments are
13
due, too.
for a 90 as
I
of right now?
appreciate your professionalism.
You can write my name next to it.
Right.
Oh, the same thing.
665566.
Imagine if you never got to tell your story that night.
That's the whole thing.
That was the plan.
Again, thank God for God in terms of faith itself, because
30.
that's where God needed to feel comfortable. And when I came out, these guys were professionals can be. There was. No.
Unfortunately, in the city of Hartford, we deal with a
35,
lot
I
of
Yeah.
high
can't hear
stress
you.
stuff to
Everybody
begin
else
with. We're a little bit
Yeah.
calmer
Yeah.
than if that happened in Newington or something.
Yeah.
This is both of our names, case number. Obviously, the report's going to take a little time to get written up, and then by the time it gets over to records, and you can get it by like a week and a half.
Okay. Excellent. So no questions?
MCD will get a copy
Yeah.
once it's done today.
Who's that?
MCD.
Major crimes.
will get that copy
Okay.
right away.
And they've been notified, so they're going to get like all of. They're going to get.
So also my question, will DCF be notified of my concerns of emotional harm? Again, it's not imminent, it's not danger, it's not imminent danger, physical neglect.
I mean, this is
But
still
this
the
is-
carry on from the previous.
Yeah, but they never looked at it from that view.
Well,
They didn't have this.
Yeah.
And now that
but
they
DCF
have
works
this,
for the state, not so much.
well, but true, but DCF on Friday, when I spoke to the individual, they said, my report is not gonna trigger them to go back out. However, if there is a criminal report or so between, they were also advised me, if I were you, I'd go back to HPD, tell them your concerns about the emotional well-being of your children,
Again,
and let them
37
call in
47 able to
and say
clear up.
that my report to DCF is here, it's the last document
It would
that's
be
here.
a different
So-
type of report, so they have 48 hours to.
They have 3 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, so again,
Again.
yeah, so again.
So what
So I mean, I'm
Hold on.
confident they'll do
the
it.
emotional damage obviously is coming from this incident and stuff like that, and now not being with you, is that your concern that right now
it would
she's
be more that
at risk?
the wife tried to swat them.
Well, I'm saying currently right now, obviously it's been a few years since this day.
If you start over
If-
37 months on that,
Go ahead.
47.
Are the children in imminent danger right now?
I didn't say imminent danger, and that's how it's spelled out
Okay.
here, but they are suffering emotional abuse. Emotional abuse is different from imminent physical danger.
And what's
So-
the emotional
31, can you
abuse?
put your people hold?
The emotional abuse I have spelled out here based
In that
on
case.
DCF. Yep, based on DCS protocols. What they have is, so for example, today, my children have to emotionally numb themselves from the fact that they're isolated away from their family. Okay, and that's been going on for the last 1,035, 36 days. Okay, so it doesn't. I use this metaphor, kidnapping. Okay, just because I was kidnapped in April 2018 doesn't mean I'm not emotionally suffering from it in 2021, because the kidnapping happened back then. The swatting happened back then. My kids were awakened by the SWAT team, your emergency response team. When they came in, my kids were terrified. I know they had to be. I was trying to avoid that at all costs. I was trying to avoid my children waking up to gunfire and then finding out their dad got killed or so forth, and they can never enjoy 4th of July. That's what my concern was with my children that night. My concern now is, because I've seen it over the last couple of, in Windsor, a couple months ago, we were out at a park together, and Windsor police drove by. My kids froze, because they're protective of me also. But my children have had to learn how to survive. They're going through therapy under false pretenses that they are victims of domestic violence because dad went wrong. So that's something that's ongoing daily. That faucet doesn't turn off. So because now all these officials know about it, somebody at least should, don't be dismissive of it at intake, present it, and let someone else make the decision. Because that's my concern, that somebody should have been jumping over this a long time ago. December 18th of 2019, when they saw those DNA results, and they knew that woman absolutely 100% lied about being duct taped and so forth, somebody should have done something. That wasn't your fault, but I hope you know, somebody, if not only my civil rights were violated long before that, but 10 months after I said in open court that I was swatted, the evidence finally comes forward and shows that was the case. And instead of fixing it, damage control went into place. I started getting offered plea bargains after that DNA result came in. Why? Because if I was dumb enough to take a plea bargain, at that point in time, it washes away everyone else's sin. Absolutely not. I'm not taking responsibility for something I did not do. I gave you 442 false statements. I would love for somebody to show me one that I did. One. There are none. So, gentlemen.
So, just, is it the emotional abuse coming more from us being present from that day, or is it from, because
Oh, well, they
as
they
the
slept through the
DCF, it's like a
yeah.
family thing. It's
They slept through the
abuser,
SWAT.
which would
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
They
be
slept
one
through the
side,
swatting,
and then.
but then
But
they've
if
been.
we're the ones that are causing the emotional,
No,
you
you
guys
did not
weren't the
call.
ones that.
No,
You guys
can't.
didn't call
Honey,
yourselves.
you can't.
no.
Honey, they're still recording. This is for.
But I'm
So the issue
saying
is-
that
No, the
us
emotion-
being present, is that causing the emotional abuse
No,
to the
not-
children with?
For today? No.
No.
Go ahead.
But I'm saying because of her phone call of us going out there, it's causing emotional abuse to the children.
Today? Is that what you're asking? No.
Well,
Then
it's
it's
still
put them in
affecting
physical
today.
neglect.
It's still affecting
Because what
today.
happens is, if somebody starts shooting into our house,
Mhm.
it put the children in harm's way. It put the whole neighborhood, but particularly.
Correct.
it's
But
the
that's
children.
involving us.
Well, you all were weaponized against
Yes.
us. It's not your fault.
No, I'm
What I'm
not saying that way,
she
but
triggered it. She's the one that put this in motion.
I'm saying for us to make a notification, I'm trying to figure out
Okay. So-
which part of it is it the children being with her causing the emotional abuse? Because obviously right now, COVID times, some of these court stuff aren't even open.
Yeah,
You
they
can't
are.
evict
So
somebody to begin with.
here's what I
so-
said. Natalie and Jacob Dukes have affected by emotional abuse, maltreatment. So DCF had a finding that these children were physically neglected that night. The mom's the one who abandoned and left the house and weaponized the police. They also believe that the children were emotionally neglected that night. The difference is they've cleared me. They're not now saying emotional neglect and physical neglect didn't happen. What they're saying is I didn't do it. But they didn't follow through and like she did it. Because I don't know what reason. I can't explain why. But it's wrong. The point is they should have now looked at, well, what did the mother do wrong in this case? Because something clearly happened to these poor children. And it did. And it happened to all of us. So that's where it should be. I've stated that from April 25th, 2018 to now. Because my children have lived under that emotional abuse, that they came from an abused home, that they are separated from their family, all because of what dad did, not because of what mom really did. Mom is the sheep in wolf's clothing. I mean, the wolf in sheep's clothing, basically. So my kids are still going through therapy and all that. They don't know, they don't have the right answers. They still have to live with thinking that this is what took place to them. And that's why they can't see their family. They're being isolated. They're being kept away from their family. They're only my understanding is they're only seeing my in-laws very limited. And it was like that beforehand. I'm the one who encouraged more of it back then. But as far as my family, the family they saw the most, that family is completely removed from them. And because the court has been slow to respond and act and where they need to act. Yeah, and that's the issue. And how did they even get to even be in this condition? It's because of the false report. So somebody needs to reverse the effects of the false report. She used that as leverage to get the temporary custody situation we're in right now. So because there's overwhelming evidence that this was a false report, all of that should be removed immediately, not months down the road, not next week. That should be removed. It'll be removed today because it's wrong. And everybody who's now looked at this knows it. And some people have covered it up. So that's the whole point is, but again, my children were put in significant harm's way that particular night. And I can't speak of what physical risk they're in right now, but I do know my children are hurting mentally and emotionally. They have to be. Because here's another day that they can't talk to me or see me. They have to wait till tomorrow, and we get a half hour on Skype. All because it all dates back to this false report made on April 24th of 2018. So somebody needs to come in here with a lot of healing, I save you for that. But somebody needs to come in and start cleaning this stuff up, because it's not going to go away. It didn't fit under the rug. They try to sweep it under. It's not right. And those three individuals need to be held accountable for the felonious acts and misdemeanors that they clearly committed here. And with a touch of a little bit more investigation, like asking people, whose DNA is that on there? She has to know because she's the one who controlled it. Okay? And you have enough between her depositions and all these other that she has lied. She has been evasive. I haven't avoided any questions at all. I've never pled the fifth once in all the things I went through. Never. So again, the evidence speaks for itself. So if you think I'm a liar, she think not you again. I'm a liar, she's a liar, look at the evidence. The evidence speaks for itself. And there's nothing better than the DNA evidence. Phone records don't lie. So I'm not having an affair. I wasn't talking to anybody. And we can show that you're talking. Why are you talking to this person during a time period where you're supposed to be in such emotional distress? Because your husband might kill your kids in there. And she told DCF she didn't go back because she thought I was going to kill them all. I haven't been violent. I'm very animated, as you can see, like this. But again, I'm not in rage. Where's the rage that was supposed to be that night? Where's the rage that anybody saw? I was distraught from being set up. I even announced that. I said, this is why I'm distraught. All of this was swimming around me. I've never had problems with police, except for speeding tickets I had. And the last one I had was maybe in 2000 or 98. I don't have a criminal history with police. I had a very good working relationship with police officers. I should have it again in the future. So, anyway, thank you all.
Is your kids' names in there?
Say again?
Is your kids' names in that?
There it is. So this is my concern.
I'm just making sure they're in there so we have it.
Yep, this is my concern for DCF. I wrote it to them. Unfortunately, someone decided to reject it without even calling me back because they said, oh, he didn't report anything new. I'm like, hello? I say in there clearly, and that's address.
Natalie and Jacob.
Yeah.
That's the current address. So, you know, of course, they're not going to take it from me. They haven't heard from anyone else. That's why he's, you know, Buzz person who I talked to on Friday, Gustav, I can't think of his last name, and he said that I might need to come back to you all, because if you all call and say, listen, we have some information, we've seen this, this might be a little different than we originally thought, or it is different than we originally thought, there is concern. Can you all intervene some way? Because somebody's got to make this right. And so I'm here because I'm not taking the law in my own hands. I haven't. I won't. I'm trying to hold everybody else accountable for what they've been hired to do. All right?
Sounds good.
Thank you. So hopefully you know there's a whole nother side of this
No,
story than you've either been prepped on or so forth. Let me just start to put my stuff away, but I'll just give you a view so you can see what was in here. This is what the 506 false statements look like. I gave you the 442, and I gave you all of those things in there. But this is what the 18,000 phone records look like in here too. But you all don't need those. But I needed those for exhibits at one point in time, and that's help. So the good thing is, I was awarded to get my job back. An arbitrator saw all this, and oh my goodness, it just hasn't gone through yet because, again, there's a conspiracy going on. A lot of people don't like to admit that they messed up on an investigation and whatever. But the point is, it's done. Anything else I can give for you, gentlemen?
And there still is the concern because of the attempt on his life.
Yeah. Because, see, at first it was like, well, she doesn't have any money. How can she hire someone? Then we just found out she bought a house in December. So there's money somewhere. Greg Corvino, Detective Corvino, he's investigating that case.
Yeah, they do all the shootings and shots fired.
I don't know where he is now on that, but I had it on surveillance, so we have the makeup. Well, we have the makeup car. I think by now he should probably know the make, but we had the time. And I know you all can isolate vehicles using the camera system and isolate for that time in those vehicles. So I'm not sure why I haven't heard anything yet on that, but the point is...
And this isn't a part of Hartford where there's regular shootings. I've lived in Hartford my entire life. I mean, that's right on the West Hartford
So the
County
point
line.
is, as this information keeps coming forward and the truth is coming out, I'm seeing more violence. I will say it on record now, since I had the one. I hinted to a second attempt, but I don't like to come forward unless I have hard evidence. But it's on the court record in family court. It was pulled out of me. I said I didn't want to testify about it. But it is my belief that on May 12th, of 2020, when I received a birthday cake from my daughter, which was made at my wife's house, that cake was laced with something. I don't know what it is. I try to find out, but by the time I realized it, it had been a month afterwards. I didn't realize why my health was deteriorating from that day on. I didn't suspect anything. I'm not diabetic. However, what happened was I lost 41 pounds in 30 days without working out. No crazy dieting. I ended up in ICU in New Britain. They couldn't regulate me. So regular diabetic treatments were not working. Okay, so they're like, well, you're diabetic, so we can't figure out why this is. And then we know you weren't diabetic before. Long story short, on that Friday when I'm getting released, someone did research and they found out, Chris, you might have had pesticide poisoning. Can you think of anything that you've had out of the ordinary or so forth? And I don't eat a lot of sweets. I eat a lot of meats, not a lot of sweets. And it was stated that, well, let's go back to the last month. This was June 12th I got diagnosed. May 12th, nice and easy, so my ID. May 12th was my birthday. 2 days afterwards, I started getting a growth in my eye. I started losing weight progressively. It turned out to be this mega thing. I was in full DKA, in ICU for 3 days, regular admission for another 2, released. And as of right now, I haven't had a drop of insulin since August. This all happened in June. Good job. After a month, either I cured diabetes, which we know no cure of right now, or something happened, okay? So the whole point is, but I can't prove it. I tried. The only way I can prove it is keeping my numbers where they are and showing folks, either I cured diabetes or something happened with that cake. And I remember seeing something, but I didn't think anything anyway. I didn't eat, and all the cake was gone by the time I figured it out. But my point is, I've had these death situations since then.
Sorry about it. Can I
All
steal
set.
you guys just real quick?
We're all set.
Oh,
I'm
awesome.
leaving. All right? Right, we're all set, gentlemen?
Yeah, we're all set.
Thank you so much.
All right, I'll give you guys, thank you so much. Good luck.
Thank you.
You guys have a great
Thank
day.
you.
All right, when you guys are done with them, just hop on real quick.
Yeah. Just hang up from it.
Let me sure we're all set. Officer Manello, right?
Yeah, I just gotta let you guys know.
Oh, okay. You're all set. Thank you. All right.
You want me to turn this off now? Do you
Yes,
care?
please. That's
Yeah,
fine. Well,
off the record.